All right, everybody, welcome to another wrestling podcast. As usual, today we are bringing on some of the best talent in the entire world of professional wrestling. Today is absolutely no different. It's not always easy finding these people because they're always super busy, but today this person has taken a lot of time out to talk to us, and we couldn't be happier about it. So, without further ado, I present to you the culture queen, the bro, the
Ah, ah,
see, I can't even say it. The
ah.
Boricua badass, and my favorite, the brightest star in the sky. Tasha Steelz has joined us today. Tasha, other than me totally butchering that, how are you doing today?
Don't worry, I'll help you out. It's the Boricua badass.
There it is. There it is. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year to you.
Awesome. So, speaking of New Year's, I got to get it out there right now. I'm a big fan of New Year's resolutions. Try to stick
hmm
with them as much as I can. What is number one for your New Year's resolutions for 2020?
Well, I think I already tweeted that out and I said, New Year, new decade, one goal, win always. So that's about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you are well on your way to doing that already. I can't believe it. We are based out of the Northeast, and it seems like you are on everyone's list these days. And you're doing just that. You're winning and kind of taking over. But I did see it was probably on your Twitter, which is at Real T Steels. If you aren't
hmm
following, I suggest you do that. But I did see somebody put like a list of the 20 people that you should be paying attention to in independent wrestling right now. When you see something like that, how does that feel?
Seeing myself on there is, I mean, it's amazing. I've I've come a long way actually, and done a lot, and to finally get a good recognition is fine. And also not just me, but you have the top talent, the culture king, Christian Casanova's on there. Also, Casey Navarro's on there as well. So, this little bro right there. So all three of us is winning right now.
Well, you mentioned some of those names may be familiar to our listeners specifically because we are all big fans of Northeast Wrestling. Northeast Wrestling is a place that you've kind of spent a lot of time in recently, as well as Christian Casanova and many others. But you have some Northeast Wrestling matches coming up. So, what are you looking at? What do you think about Northeast Wrestling as a whole, the company, and what are you looking forward to with your upcoming matches?
I think Northeast Wrestling is an amazing company. It's really shining a light out there on some up and coming people, and of course, you get to see all your favorite stars that you normally see in the Indies. I did make my debut against Karen Q, who is now in NXT, and I beat her. So that was a good debut for me, and just being able to dominate here on in Northeast, and doing it with the culture by my side, we're unstoppable, and that's how we're going to be in Northeast Wrestling.
Well, I would be remiss to not talk about the fact that within the past couple years, women's wrestling it's obviously on the map. It continues to just keep getting better and better. There's main events. There's entire pay-per-views dedicated to women's wrestling. The sky is definitely the limit for professional wrestling and women's involvement in professional wrestling. But with so many women, wrestling today more than probably ever, for people who are listening to this that may not completely be familiar with you, or for people who are familiar with you, what do you think sets you apart the most from other professional wrestlers that are women?
I think it's the fact that my swag and my flavor that I bring, I always bring that Latina heat whenever I go. It's different from all these other girls, but not to downplay any of these other girls out here because they're very talented, they're very athletic, they're very strong. But Tasha Steelz, she's got like a little bit more swagger than the others, and I hate to say I do, but I do.
That is awesome and completely honest and exactly what we were looking for. So
Yeah.
we kind of see you through social media. If we're not watching you on TV or the internet, but so with social media being such a big part of the business these days, whenever you see people that maybe I guess just call them like haters, how does that make you feel? Does that make you, because you're in much of the spotlight, and sometimes with
Hmm.
professional wrestling it can hurt people. I mean, we just saw that the Young Bucks potentially are taking a break from Twitter, and it's been rumored that that's one of the reasons they stopped. So how much of that do you buy into whenever there's like negativity out there?
Oh, I don't pay attention to the negativity. I mean, if you ever see me on social media, I have my alter ego Petty Steel. So sometimes when I do embrace it, they don't know what to do and I clap back. But I don't let negativity bother me, man. It's just people loving to watch you. So right then and there, like it's just I just dust it off my shoulder and I keep moving. But if I clap back at you, then you got a little bit of my attention. But it's not gonna bother me. It's just gonna make me want to more get at you. But haters, they don't bother me at all.
Awesome, awesome. So, most recently, a lot of people saw you on NWA Power.
Mhm.
You had a win over Marty Bell, and
Mhm.
some even had the audacity, I'll say, to say that that was an upset. Um, what did you think about NWA? I think it's a really cool like throwback. There's a really good feeling with so much wrestling out there today. What made you kind of uh, put your hat in the NWA right now?
I think NWA is very much old school style. The way that a lot of people originally enjoyed wrestling for. Um, and everyone has a different, flavor in their promotion. So I'm glad to see NWA is taking a different route from everyone else and focusing more on the psychology of professional wrestling and the old school style, the way it used to be, with the Ric Flairs and the Harley Races and the Ricky Steamboats back then. So that's kind of their direction. At the same time, have a little entertainment in between, but mostly focus on the story of everything. And me being me, I like to just keep my name in everyone's heads. I like to just let people say my name as many times as they can. So why not be a part of NWA? Why not do some things in Impact? Why not do some things in Ring of Honor? Why not do some things in NXT? Wherever I can go, I'm gonna go and make sure that I leave a lasting impression and everyone knows who I am at the end of the day.
Absolutely, we definitely saw that. 2019 was a huge year for you. NXT, you mentioned Impact,
Hmm.
NWA. You were all over the place.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not going to ask you like what was your favorite or anything like that, but what I
No,
am
you
going
can
to,
ask.
well, but I'm sure that you did have like a preference, but you seem to be somebody who just enjoys competing. So, I guess what I wanted to know more than anything is just did you see with the business of professional wrestling, did one of them stick out more as like the place that you felt like you most could see yourself or most belong at?
Um, you know, I think I was actually the first person to do in 1 year all of these promotions. So that's a plus on my shoulder. But being a part of each of these locker rooms, with Ring of Honor and Impact and NXT and NWA, you just see uh how production is from many different minds, and how everybody else does their way of TV and pay-per-view and tapings and all that stuff. So I've got to experience the live and the tapings. I've got to experience both, which was great for me because it's a learning experience overall. But as far as like favorite, uh I really it's just basically enjoying yourself somewhere. NWA has been great. NXT has been great. Impact, I've definitely had a lot of fun at. Especially like, the women in the locker room, how they're all uplifting and everything. But we're gonna keep that open because you never know where I'll end up.
Absolutely. So I want to find out a little bit more about Tasha Steelz. I want to
Hmm.
know kind of what kind of we know the wrestling, like I said. So before you get into the ring, or maybe you're getting ready for a workout. For those of you who don't know, if you listen to any of the other interviews that Tasha has done, she's obviously you spend a lot of time being active, working out, and those sort of things. So what is it that gets you pumped before you step out into the ring or work out or whatever? Is it, do you listen to music, or what does it for you?
Oh yeah, I definitely listen to a lot of Tupac before I head out to the ring. Listening to Tupac's music gets me pumped up, especially certain songs that I need to listen to. So I need to like really be off to myself for about a minute, get the feels of my favorite Tupac songs, and I'm good. I'm good to go, and I'm bringing Tasha Steelz all the way out 100%.
So do you have one in like specifically that you play, or is it just kind of any Tupac will do the trick?
I like to start off with "Ambitious as a Rider" by Tupac, and then it can go into Hail Mary. It can go into a lot of different songs. But once I play that first song first, I'm good to go.
I know that I sound probably potentially like the whitest person that's ever talked to you. However, I myself do listen to Tupac, and definitely Hail Mary is incredible, and All Eyes on Me, and just yeah,
Yeah.
it's I could definitely see where that would do the trick. So um, now you are a relative newcomer to the world of professional wrestling. I mean, just if you look at the time you've spent from starting to now, and you've accomplished so much. But do you remember your very first actual match? Not like when you were training or anything like that, but your
Hmm.
first match for a company. Do you remember that? And how do you feel about it now versus where you're at?
Yeah, yeah. I remember my first match. I remember being nervous as hell. Um, what training, I wanted to do it for so long. Like I think I trained for like a good 6 months before I had my very first match. And I was excited, but at the same time, I was nervous. Like I would be like, oh, I want my shot, I want to go, I want to do it, I want to do it. And then when it's time to do it, I was just like, no, I don't want to do it anymore because I was just so nervous. But yeah, I me being nervous as I was nervous, and I was trying to remember the match of how it went. So this was like me not knowing like anything of calling on a fly, psychology, nothing. It's just like this is what we're doing this and after this and this and stuff like that. That's like the only thing I was trying to remember going into this match. And when I went out there and I went in, I pretty much didn't remember anything but the finish. And I mean, I finished it well, but like I was just so nervous that I just like you could just see like I was just moving like a robot out there. But yeah, it wasn't the best of the greatest matches that I've had, but I've I've definitely changed a lot since then.
Now, you said you were nervous. Do you still get that before you go out, or
Oh no.
no? Okay.
No.
I feel like I've done like with this podcast, literally like I've spoken to anybody, and everyone, from WWE talent to AEW to independent or whatever. But there's still that moment where even preparing for this interview, I'm just like, okay, you've got it. The kind of things I can say, the 10 questions that you get asked all the time, what's your favorite wrestler, and who, like how did you get into the business and all that. But ultimately there's still like some nerves. So it's good on you that you do not get nervous, because it's still threatening for me anyway to kind of get out there, and it's a little out of the comfort zone. But that's awesome that you've gotten past that. And so with wrestling, obviously, it's a hugely competitive sport. that's just in the ring, but there's also politics and stuff backstage. How it seems to me like you get along, like you said, with pretty much everybody in the locker room and that sort of thing. So if you were to kind of give some locker room etiquette or some tips for potential professional wrestlers, wannabe professional wrestlers, what do you think the best things for them to do to kind of keep their head above water would be for coming from you?
Oh man. I think the best advice I would give was just basically the advice that's given to me. Always respect the ones that come before you. Always shake their hands. Even though you probably shook their hands 5 times prior, just keep shaking their hands. Say hello to everyone because you never know who you're gonna end up talking to. So yeah, and it's just making sure just stay friendly, stay cool with everyone, despite what your personal feelings might be. Take that at home, and while you're in the workplace, you just remain professional at all times.
Awesome. Now, when you aren't wrestling,
Hmm.
which nowadays is probably not that often because you seem to have a pretty full card, but what can we find Tasha Steelz doing when she's not wrestling?
Oh man, if I'm not wrestling, I'm probably trying to get as much sleep as possible. I think a lot of people agree on me on this. Yeah, schedule is definitely crazy. Not complaining, but you know, being sleep deprived, that's you know something I wasn't really expecting much. But yeah, definitely if I'm not wrestling, you can catch me getting as much rest as possible because that's what I need.
Awesome. Now, there seems to be this phenomenon we hear about a lot in professional wrestling nowadays. Back in the day, after people would wrestle, they would go out to the bars, maybe drink or do other recreational things. But it seems to
Hmm.
be that the locker rooms have changed a little bit over the years. We see all these professional wrestlers that are talking about their action figure collection or their video game systems or anything like that. Is there something that you have like that you're are you a gamer? Are there any things that you like to do outside of just after the sleeping's over?
Oh yeah, I have a PS4, and I have my little collection of games, especially, my Grand Theft Auto. Go figure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I like to, you know what? I'm such a big kid. I like the Disney Plus and chill. I
Oh,
know
that's
people say
awesome.
Netflix and chill. I rather Disney Plus and chill. Watch a lot of Disney or watch a lot of Cartoon Networks or Nickelodeon, all that stuff. I'm a big kid at heart,
Have
so.
you done the new filter thing where you find out what Disney character you are?
No, I haven't yet, but
Okay.
I hope it would be Ariel from A Little Mermaid because she's my favorite.
Okay. All right. All right. So I I want to know this just because it is something that's pretty cool. Obviously, I've heard you say in interviews that you're a big fan of Triple H. Um,
Hmm.
but if you go from the beginning of professional wrestling till now, and you had a chance, if this person's passed on or if they're still with us, if
Hmm.
you could have a sit down conversation with just one professional wrestler, who would you choose?
Oh man, that's such a hard. I, my heart, in my mind, I want to say Trish Stratus,
Okay,
but my heart says Eddie Guerrero
all
because
right.
I'm a big Eddie Guerrero fan as well as Triple H and Trish Stratus. But I definitely would want to have a sit down with Eddie Guerrero, just get his mind state of everything because he's just known this for so long, and it's just everything about him that I would just want to know.
All right. Well, obviously, we will definitely be seeing you soon. You have some upcoming matches with Northeast Wrestling, but where else are you going to be? We're obviously it's the new year, it's January, so where are you going to be popping up?
Well, yeah. So on the 18th, I will be in Washington, D.C. for Primetime Wrestling. You guys can catch me there. Of course, I'll be at Northeast Wrestling on the 25th of January. But before then, I will be making my Limitless Wrestling debut, which is very exciting for me because I get to go against Ashley Vox. I think Ashley and I, we've been avoiding each other for way too long. So it's about that time that we go at it. And that's about it for January. And first week of February, I'm back at Queens of Combat in North Carolina. So you guys can catch me there.
Awesome. Now, earlier I did mention that you've got your at Real T Steelz for Twitter. Is that pretty much the same across all the social media platforms?
Yeah, so it's at Real T Steels for Twitter and Instagram. And of course, Facebook is Tasha Steelz.
And I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this podcast right now that you are wearing a T-shirt. But if you are wanting to get a new T-shirt, I believe you also have a pro wrestling tee site. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you go on prowrestlingtees.com /Tasha Steelz if you want to get any Tasha Steelz merch, or you can also come see myself, Christian Casanova, Royce Bishop, or Trigger the OG at any event that we're at, and we have all the culture merch for you guys needs: hoodies, shirts, headbands. We've got some greeting cards. We got everything you need. We got it.
That's awesome. Well, I've got one last question for you.
Okay.
I've been skirting around it. I've heard that you are a Patriots fan. I'm not.
I am a Patriots fan. Go ahead.
I'm not
Go
gonna.
ahead.
I'm not gonna blast you because listen, I'm a Rams fan, and I'll hear it from everybody else. But I do want to know what your thoughts are on the XFL. It sounds like it's coming soon. I'm pretty sure that everybody knows or remembers the first time that it came around. But are you a fan of this? And do you think you'll find yourself at any of these events?
Yeah, you know what? It's all about seeing the XFL debut. So I'm just ready to see that. And just going to events. Of course, I'm gonna pop up some events there. There's a very special person in my life that is now starting in the XFL. So definitely will see me there soon.
All right. Well, I don't want to, like I said, we've just scratched the surface with you today. I'm super pumped to get to talk to you, and I know that the sky's the limit for Tasha Steelz. And
Hmm.
super excited again to see you upcoming Northeast Wrestling. Give them a follow, give Tasha a follow. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And congrats on all the success, and we look forward to what 2020 has for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, just keep your social medias and televisions on at all times.